Believe it or not, there are ways to make money in real estate without ever having to buy or sell properties. I'm talking about tax overages. Basically, when a property sells at a tax sale or foreclosure, there's often leftover cash, aka overages, and they're often unclaimed, and that's where the money making comes in. Enter Bob Diamond, the self-proclaimed America's tax sale attorney, peddling his Overages Blueprint course. Now, he claims it's a chance to cash in on a huge government scandal, but is it the real deal like he claims it to be, or is it just smoke and mirrors? The loophole, as Bob explains, is in people falling behind on property taxes, facing foreclosure, and their homes going cheap at auction. Investors snag them, the government pays off the taxes and pockets the extra cash. But hold on, that money's supposed to go back into the previous owner's pockets, right? Well, the problem is they're almost clueless most of the time or too embarrassed to claim it. And that's where you step in. So Bob's Overages Blueprint supposedly equips you with the tactics and tools to recover this cash and earn a nice commission in return while doing so. You don't need any experience, skills, or special licenses, just an iPhone and a computer. He even sweetens the deal with the starter pack full of guides, videos, support, scripts, legal documents, and a list, I think, of the best states to work in. So if you jump in, successfully complete a deal, Bob says that you're looking at around 10 hours of work for a finder's fee of, I think he says, 35%. And to me, that translates to an average commission of about 10K per deal or $1,000 an hour if you buy into the math. It all sounds pretty good, right? But before you get excited, let's seriously pump the brakes, because for something that requires zero skill and you're charging basically $1,000 an hour, it definitely raises some red flags for me. Plus, no matter how, you want to put it, there's a lot of integrity in other business models that don't require basically profiting off of, people that are already in a very hard financial spot. So there's definitely some moral question in there. So before you dive in head first, maybe reconsider a bit. The Overages Blueprint might be the right path for some. There is also a big chance it could be just another pitch in the ever-growing sea of online promises. So with that being said, guys, let's find out the truth to that coin in this video. If you guys want to learn more about my #1 recommendation for making money online, please visit the link in the description below. And just throwing a little disclaimer out there, guys, this video is all about Bob Diamond, but let me say I have absolutely no affiliation with him or any of his programs. This is just my honest opinion based on what I found through gathering hours and hours of research. So with that being said, make sure to do your own research so you can come to your own conclusion. This is all just my thoughts. And with that being said, it's not the best course to try in 2024, and here's why. All right, guys, so a lot of students enrolled in Bob Diamond's Overages Blueprint are sounding a lot of red flags left and right through BBB complaints. The first complaint that I saw from one student was basically about a denied refund after they couldn't access the program within the promised 3-day return period. Also, they claimed they were charged another $500 fee for the special access skip tracing, which turned out to be just another ripoff according to them, which also failed to basically deliver and tacking on more money for them. The second complaint exposes unmet commitments, outdated material, and also a lack of support, which basically prompted the student to demand a refund right away. The third complaint I saw takes a little bit of a darker turn. The student basically had a family crisis and had their account basically deactivated when they requested a refund because of that. So despite the seemingly affordable, I think it's about $1,500 price tag for the program, you do have a option to do 3 monthly installments, but it does bring its own set of headaches. With that being said, even though it's not as expensive as most courses out there, it seems like a lot of students struggle with the actual program material and access. It seems like a lot of refunds are ignored and a lot of commitments like live training classes go unfulfilled. Also, things like outdated course material and a lack of relevant information hindered their potential to use the program, and the promised support that they said they were going to receive was honestly just nowhere to be found. So it seems to me that these student complaints speak a clear pattern of broken promises, hidden costs, and sneaky refund dodging. And I don't know about you, but to me, it all paints a concerning picture of the program's credibility. So cutting to the chase, Bob Diamond's Overages Blueprint may be pitched as a perfect opportunity even for non-attorneys, but it's still just as confusing despite what he says. Sure, his anyone can do this claim sounds good, but in reality, I'd feel like a fish out of water. The legal stuff is a potential minefield, especially when Bob casually mentions certain states being off limits. And I don't know about you, but the last thing on my wish list is a legal showdown with the state. Sure, Bob being an attorney and all might offer some peace of mind, but I still can't shake the feeling that I might unwittingly get into some legal trouble down the line. Then there's the ethical tug of war. Profiting off of families who have had their homes foreclosed, that's definitely a moral dilemma big enough to make anyone do a double take about this. And the idea of potentially taking advantage of people already down on their luck is definitely a big weight on my conscience. So on the flip side, I guess Bob spins it as an opportunity to educate families about their situations, giving them the power to claw back at least some of their hard-earned money. And I get it, glass half full, right? But let's be real here. Whether you see it as empowerment or not, you're still dipping into the pockets of those who have already lost the lion's share of what they had. So in the end, it's like more of a tightrope walk between legality, ethics, and the promise of empowerment. So maybe I'm just overthinking it, but when morals and money collide, it's definitely worth treading carefully. Then there's the whole tracking people down thing. Even with the purest of intentions, dialing up people who have just lost their homes to foreclosure can be very cringeworthy to say the least. Imagine getting a call from a stranger offering to recoup money from a foreclosure. That can definitely be a one-way ticket to embarrassment and ending up on a no-call list. Now, let's entertain the thought that someone actually listens, they hear you out, and they believe you. Well, that's fantastic and all, but why on earth would anybody pay you 10 grand just to make a few phone calls when they can do it themselves? So for these reasons, Bob's course gets a hard pass for me. Sure, I've got a soft spot for him, but his business model is exactly not my cup of tea. And to add insult to injury, it's really become more of a battlefield of competition after all these years being in the spotlight. So in my book, real estate is and will always be a no-go, no matter how many people try to spin the, usual go on things, whether that be traditional real estate or, benefiting off of tax overages or rental arbitrage. So call me picky, call me skeptical, but the thought of tracking people down and competing in a crowded, finite space isn't my idea of a winning strategy. Compared to other courses out there, Bob does a good job at keeping his affordable for the majority of us. He claims his method of making money online won't take up too much of your time and is actually easy once you can get past the lure part. But that's just on the surface. There are still a lot of downfalls with this course that you have to pay attention to. Just like the stories of other students wishing they had been warned to save their money on better opportunities. You can also tell yourself that you're helping put money back into evicted homeowners' pockets, but the reality is you're just targeting their wallets like those real estate sharks did. The business model is also just really questionable at the end of the day because you're preying on people who are already in a tough, vulnerable spot. You're not really doing anything to help them besides recover a few bucks, and even then, you're still taking your piece of the pie. Not to mention the amount of other overage investors who are targeting the same people as you. So with heavy competition on the rise, you can only hope for more houses to fall under foreclosure faster. And if you ask me, that's a pretty depressing thing to bank on. There are much better ways to make money online that don't involve banking on losing situations or taking money from evicted homeowners. In fact, you don't even have to deal with physical properties at all. With local lead generation, it's all about building digital assets, aka digital properties. When you learn how to build, rank, and then rent these assets to local business owners who need the traffic, it's really just a win-win situation. You're sending leads to people who need them the most, and they're giving you a cut in return. And the best thing is, it doesn't require you to go broke paying for upfront costs. When you're building a digital asset, time makes them valuable, not the money you throw at it. For more information on my #1 recommendation for making money online, please visit the link in the description below.